everybody onto this amazing call. I really appreciate it and feel really honored to be a part of this. So thank you, Ben. And I've also admired you and all that you do. So hello, if we haven't met yet, my name is Amanda Ryan. I run the team on the Move DFW here in DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. We're a part of the Keller Williams Lone Star DFW office, which is based out of Arlington. And so a little bit about me is I got into the business in 2017. So I'm not originally from Texas. I'm from Ohio. And my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, brought me here to Texas. My background is not anything related to real estate. I don't have any family a part of real estate or anything like that. I went to college at Coastal Carolina University. So I said, you know what, if I'm going to have to pay for college, I am not going to go to college in Ohio. So I picked up and moved to South Carolina and got my bachelor's degree in sports administration. Sports is just a huge part of my life. And then when I moved to Texas, I realized that I had to drop my athletic director job and get into something different because here in Texas, you have to also have your teaching degree to be an athletic director. And I was like, okay, not my jam, not going to go back to school. So I got a job at a fundraising company and I just thought it was going to be temporary. And I was literally cold calling athletic directors, coaches, and getting them to sign up for this fundraiser. And then realized that, hey, I think that there's more opportunity out there. And that's when I got into real estate. So that was 2017.
That's crazy. So you're I mean, I can look at you and I shouldn't be general like this, but were you ever in gymnastics? Because I'm like, you're so in athletic. And so
Yeah.
because folks look at me and they go, some folks think, have you played football? Do you play basketball? And sometimes I hate it when that comes across, but other
Yep.
times I feel like it's a compliment. So I'm complimenting you, even if you never were a gymnast at all. It looks like you
I
could be.
was.
See, look at here.
Yep. You're right. Dead on. Yeah. So I did all the things. So
It's
y'all
out.
can't see. And when people hear my voice and then they meet me, they're like, oh, I was expecting you to be so much taller.
Yeah.
And so I am 4'8". And my husband is 6'2". So that's great. But yes, I was a gymnast, cheerleader, track, lacrosse. I played lacrosse in college. So any of the sports that didn't require me to be tall.
There you go. Well, again, I know you were crushing it then like you crush it now. So let's start and I've got just a couple of questions and really I want you to take it. But one, which I think was obvious, you run an all women's team, right? And speak to the importance of that, or was it really important, or did it just happen that way?
It just happened that way,
Okay.
truthfully.
Okay.
What's funny is we all tend to look alike. And then when I dyed my hair back brown, my husband was like, you don't look like your brand anymore. Like you all look the same and now you like stick out like a sore thumb. And so it's just funny. Like it just happened like that organically.
Yeah.
After a couple of years into the business, I hired a showing specialist. Um, and she is fabulous. She was fabulous. She's no longer with us. She had moved to Wisconsin and she's living her best life on her lake house,
Yes.
or in her lake house. And so I hired her, hired an admin, and like it just grew organically with
Okay.
being an all-women team. I had no intentions of that and not biased to hiring a guy or
Good, because I might
yeah,
be up, right?
come on, we're hiring.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to get that out of the way. So, and again, before we move into the meat, because I think some of the folks that are on, I was so intrigued with your top 100 social media, I guess, awards through Real Trend, because I think that's what's brought, I think, attention to you and your team. I mean, you guys were at our Go Launch event. and speak briefly about this whole social media thing, which again, an old head like myself who's been doing it forever, I don't do it at this level, and I'm embracing it. I'm getting better, but there's I've got tons of growth opportunities in front of me. I look at what you do and I follow you and I think the stuff's fantastic. So speak on that briefly. Was it just a focus, over the last 3, 4, 5 years, or did that also happen organically?
Well, truthfully, it happened organically and it happened because I started my business with cold calling expireds and for sale by owners. And then once COVID hit, I felt like that was pretty cringy. So I felt like people were going through losing their jobs, their family they were in the hospital, like people were going through these massive life changes that were so unexpected. And so I dropped the cold calls and decided to just go all in on social media because we were all home, we were all quarantined, we couldn't leave the house, right? So it just happened because of the need and the change of the world. I will tell you, I first picked up my phone and started recording and taking photos and posting and all of that. And it was just kind of like off the fly. Once I started to get some traction and get new followers, and then having these DMs turn into conversations, turn into Zoom calls, turn into clients, I really started to focus on who my ideal client was. And so I took a step back and I thought, okay, I've got a handful of clients that I've worked with that are more than just clients, they're friends. And so if I could pick one type of person to work with and work 100 deals a year, who would that client be? And so I got very intentional and very specific on who this ideal client was. So I started to really like build out my avatar. Once I built out my avatar, creating the content became super simple because I knew who it was that I was speaking to. And when I was able to talk to her, resonate with her, and really build a relationship, not just real estate. I didn't want to just be the real estate go-to. I wanted to be all things DFW. So that included, putting content out locally, things that would resonate with her. And that allowed me to really form authentic relationships.
That's beautiful. And I think that was something that came out of family reunion time and time again, is knowing your avatar, right? And I think I'm in the process of trying to figure exactly what that looks like, even for me. And so my hope is that you're 100% correct, that when you know that avatar, then the content around it becomes a lot easier. So thank you for that nugget right there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I would say, like, getting super specific on who this person is that you're looking for. And it's no surprise that when I host client events, these clients that I got from social media and built these relationships with, they all attend our client event in person because they're all similar. They're all very much alike. Now, I will say, Ben, one of the things that I often get asked is, if I'm creating this avatar and I'm really putting the content out for this one type of person, am I losing the opportunity to hit or to gain business from somebody that isn't in this circle? And my answer to that is no. I have a listing appointment this evening with somebody that follows me on Instagram, and it's for their parents. And they said, "Hey, our son gave us your contact information. We're not interviewing anyone else because he said that you're the go-to." And so I don't want you to think that just because you build out this person and you're putting content out just for them, that you're going to miss opportunities, because I just simply think that that's a limiting belief.
100%, 100. So yeah, because I've got followers and clients in all walks of life and all parts of the country. So we're fortunate. We've got a New Jersey and a Phoenix all closing in the next 3 weeks. So anyway, uh, pick up that nugget there. Again, it won't limit you at all. So again, I think just be you, and your tribe will be attracted to that. So, well, let's get into you and I. We talked about, um, I mean, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to talk about, your lead gen tactics? Do you want to talk about your brand? You want to talk about mindset? Again, there's something other than, I think, your social media that's separating you from the masses. And I think when we've come off such a challenging 2024 for many, but not all, because there's probably a couple of folks on this call that had their best year. I've got 4 or 5 friends on my hall that had their best year in 24, and I'm looking to have one of my top 3 years in 2025. So, what is it that Amanda Ryan finds challenging or right now excelling with?
Yeah, well, let's start with the challenges
Mm.
because those aren't easy to talk through, and yet we all face them, right? The challenges that I have been experiencing through this growth, I'm very fortunate that each year our production increases, which I know is one of those that it's great for me to feel really good about, but I know agents on the other side want to compare and say, man, I didn't have a great year last year. Congrats that you did, but I didn't. And so while production continues to grow, that's great. The challenges that I am being faced with all the time is putting on my leadership hat and saying, okay, I'm the leader of this team. How am I going to continue to grow and build up the team? And I feel that social media can really play a role in that challenge because we see that everybody's doing good. We see that everybody's doing great. They're celebrating these big wins, and we're just over here like comparing ourselves. And so I would say that specifically when it comes to social media, I am very intentional with the time that I'm spending on the platform, turning notifications off and not just sitting and scrolling aimlessly throughout the day or at night. Because if you're like me, you're going to look at other people and you're going to instantly compare yourself to them. And so, yeah, the comparison trap is a real thing. And it will put my blinders on to the leader that I need to be and show up to be if I'm just having in the back of my head watching all of these people continue to win and highlight their wins. So I have for sure challenges and hurdles as a leader. Leveraging is a big one. Knowing the strengths that I am really good at, and then finding what those weaknesses are and allowing somebody else to take those on. And also, I've had to learn over probably the last 18 months. Like there are things that I'm really good at and that I find joy with, but they're probably not the best use of my time. And so being able to take my hands off, get in the back seat and let someone else take those jobs or those duties on.
Right.
So knowing that as a leader, you don't have to do all the things. And sometimes a B is better than an A for you doing it if it allows you to go out and do what you do best.
I love that. I love it. Is there something that not even real estate related that you really enjoy, but that you either need to stop doing or limit yourself on?
Yes, 100%. So we create these guides, and so we don't pay for any leads. Most of our business comes from social media, and whether it's referral from agents, clients sharing our posts or our stories, things like that. But we create these guides, and they're downloads. They're free downloads for someone to go and download the home buying process, new construction, Q&A for lenders, things like that. I love creating that. I have like a creative side to me and I just want to get in Canva and work all day. I said, if I wasn't in real estate, I would be like a full-time marketer. I don't know for what, but I just love creating and using that creative side of myself. But creating these guides, they're not the best use of my time. Like they're literally templates that we can duplicate and just add in the different information, the different photos, laying it out and all of that. And so while I want to sit back and do that all day, it's not the best use of my time, right? It's getting the information, even if somebody creates it and I go in and then just critique it a little bit to make sure that it's on brand, colors, contact info, and all of that. But it's more about having it done and getting it out there. Because if I'm spending all of this time creating it, what does that mean? I'm not getting out and I'm not getting it in front of my ideal client to then convert from followers to clients. So that's an example. Another one is we send out weekly newsletters. I know that's like, oh, people are like, oh my gosh, you do it on a weekly basis? Yes, we do. Because we have such a great high open rate with our newsletters. And so that was my baby for the longest time. I was not willing to let that go. Yet I found myself doing all the research of what events are coming up locally. What do I need to fast forward think of spring break or summer things to do with families or staycations, like things like that. And I was spending all of this time researching, then putting the content in. And before I knew it, I always get my newsletters out on Thursdays. But it was, 4 o'clock on a Thursday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is one newsletter. So I finally decided to offload that. And I will tell you, my director of operations crushes it. We still have the value that's in our newsletters. We still have the high open response rate. And so I realized that while that was something I loved doing, it wasn't the best use of my time. And I was spending so much of my time and energy when I could offload it to somebody else.
Well, I think realizing that is huge growth because I was doing this for more than 30 years before I started to really utilize leverage. And you'll see two beautiful ladies on, Christina, who's with child, and I'm so excited for her and Brad. And you'll see Destiny, who's replacing her. And Destiny, you've got big shoes to fill. And yet I think that listen to some of what Amanda is saying. And I believe Destiny will, she's going to step into numerous roles that I'm just not really qualified for, or she can do a whole lot better than me. And I'm now, my ego is I'm okay enough to accept that. Forever, I thought, oh, I'm the man, it's me, me, me. And now I'm sitting there going, oh God, no. Ben, everyone on this call is way more talented than you. So, let them step into their working genius and let's crush it in 2025. So anyway, David Soccer, hear me when I tell you that. So we've got right lessons to learn, even from this old dog. You can teach me new tricks. You can. So anyway, well, thanks for sharing that. Real quick, I know that the majority of your business comes through. What's the majority of your business? What is your social media? What's the percentage from that to, say farming? Are you at 20%, 30%, 60% that comes from social media and or your direct messages and all that? What does that look like?
Yeah, so when you look at Instagram specifically, that's where, when I talk about social media as a whole, that's where the majority of our business is coming from when I say social media. It's Instagram. And so over 30% of our business is coming from Instagram, and that's year over year. Like I've been consistently converting. And so that's, again, organic. It's not paid leads. It's putting out the content that speaks to my ideal client. It's putting out polls or a call to action so that it gets somebody to just start the conversation. Even if they comment a word or they vote on your poll, for me, that's an opportunity to then reach out to somebody. And then those followers turn in to comments and DMs. And then those DMs, it's always my goal to turn that DM into a virtual call. Listen, I'm a very high D and our Metroplex is way too big. I realize that driving and meeting somebody in person is not the best use of my time. So I am always setting up virtual calls with somebody, usually from my DMs. So social media is a really big part. Our past clients and agent referrals are another really big source for our business. I will say, when you are consistent with posting on social media, and even if it's talking to your ideal client, it's going to grab the attention of other real estate agents. I don't know about you, but I follow a handful of different type of accounts. I follow like marketers to get insights on what's trending and all of that. And then I follow a lot of local businesses so that I can stay in tune on what's going on, connect with those business owners on a really deep level. That's really one of my goals this year. And then agents as well. And so when you're cheering other agents on or DMing them or engaging with their stuff and interacting with them, that's also going to put you front and center for agent referrals. So that's another source. And then I have 5, 6 years ago, when I first started my business with cold calling expireds in for sale by owners, one of the expireds that I called was a builder. And so I called this builder, got myself an interview for one of his homes that had expired, interviewed for the job, and I got it. So fast forward, I am consistent. I've built that relationship with him. And I'm consistently listing his new build homes. And him and I work so great together. He's a huge cheerleader for my business. He's also referred me to 2 other builders. So that's a really big part of our business is listing new construction. And that brings in so much opportunities for our team, especially when you have 2 or 3 listings in the same neighborhood and people are continuously seeing your sign and your name, they're calling you. And so that's a big opportunity for the other agent that I have on my team. So it's 2 agents and 2 full-time admin, myself and another agent. So those calls that get in, that come in, it's a huge opportunity for her to then represent the buyer, list their home while I represent the builder. And so that's really what our business is made up of. And again, we're not paying for anything. I am one of those red light, green light with all of our expenses, right? I think we're all like that. So making sure there's always a return on investment. And for me, paid leads just doesn't do it because I don't know where to throw my money to or how to run the ads and all of that. So I'd rather spend time building these organic relationships.
You know, David asked a question. It might be a great time to insert this. He asked, how many leads versus converted appointments do you set monthly from Instagram? Do you have any idea?
So I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would say I'm probably on average getting 3 DMs a week
Okay.
from Instagram. And so those are probably converting not immediately. Sometimes it takes time. Um, so I don't know the exact number, appointments to, I mean, I track my overall, but I haven't broken it down social
Yeah,
media
no,
wise.
no, that's okay. I
But
mean,
I do know that
yeah.
I'm consistently getting Instagram DMs. And let me also say this, we've got a team account on the Move DFW, and that's where we're highlighting a lot of our listings, client experiences, things like that, local content. But really, the leads that are coming from my account directly. Now, yes, I am putting those out. I'm setting the appointments and then passing them to Katie when needed or, depending on the situation. But so I am all in on my social media, which is at On the Move with Amanda. And so that's my account that I'm putting out lifestyle. I'm putting out Thursday night date nights. all of the things, my Teddy, my Craigslist, Aussie Doodle, doing Zoomies in the backyard. So I'm putting out all of that content, and that's where I am getting these followers turning into DMs, turning into clients. The On the Move account, the general team account, I have leveraged so that I have somebody else posting on that account regularly just to keep that account active. But I am all in on mine, and that's not one thing that I am willing to leverage at this time.
There you go. Well, I can tell you, your content is on point. I think you did a piece, it might have been a week or two ago, I think on a big development in Mansfield. I think it was Mansfield or somewhere down there that caught my attention. I looked at the whole darn thing and I was like, you know what, that's powerful. It's genius. So I've done something similar. I just need to be more consistent. And I think there's the issue is consistency is the key. And I'm sure you would agree with that, right?
Absolutely. It all comes down to being consistent. And just like, you know, 10 years ago, I wasn't in the business at that time, but even 7 years ago when I first got into the business, it was always 9 to noon, we're lead generating. And we were cold calling, or we were reaching out to our database, or we were door knocking, whatever that is. I treat my social media lead gen just like that. And so I'm very purposeful on doing the planning. So just like you will get your call list together for cold calling, right? I'm doing the same thing on the social media side for lead generation. And so again, I've got my avatar and who I'm talking to. I've got 4 content pillars that I'm consistently posting about. And then from there, I'm creating a weekly schedule on what it is that I'm posting. Now, I will leverage templates that I've created. So if you do go to my Instagram and you notice a lot of the templates are very similar to each other, that's on purpose because I'm not a full-time content creator, right? Not a full-time marketer. But so I'm leveraging those templates and then using my time to lead gen on social media, which is also why I have all notifications turned off because it's so easy to like get that notification that something's going on. Yeah. And just chasing squirrel,
Right,
squirrel. Like
right,
it's
right.
not the best use.
Okay. Well, as we depart, um, what's one narrow focus for 25, maybe that you haven't had? Do you have one now?
I do. So um my one narrow focus for 2025 is going all in locally. And so I look at the success that I've had through Instagram and I see how powerful that can be. And my mindset has shifted to how can I be the go-to for all things DFW? If you're looking for date night, if you're looking for things to do on the weekend, the best coffee shops, staycations around DFW, new developments coming into town, things like that. And so my big focus this year is really hitting on local content and building authentic relationships with business owners. And when I put out that one piece about what's coming to Mansfield, I had a big time developer reach out to me, and we're in the process of setting up a meeting. They're big. They build like the big hospitals, the satellite campuses for universities, the big time shopping centers. And so like just taking that example and seeing how you can really impact your community. And so going in all locally is my huge focus for this year.
I love that. I love that. Well, I know that you will continue to crush it. I love the fact that we can cheer everybody on. I see folks here that I haven't seen. Jonah, I love. I see Clara, who's on, Alice. Thank you guys for chiming in. And I think the message here is, you know what, man, you're not taking anything off my plate at all, right? I love supporting you, seeing your success because there's 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 enough business out here for us all. And when we look at collaboration and not competition, then you know what? We all win. And I want everyone on this call and everyone who couldn't be here today and our, loyal followers to know that 2025 can be your best year ever, right? And even if it's not your best year, for me, I think improving on some of the things that we fell short on in 24 also is a huge improvement. And that's what we're looking to do. So, sweetheart, you know what, bam, the time moved so quickly that there was probably one or two things you wanted to get into that we didn't, but it just happens that way. So, you've brought plenty of meat this week. So, as we leave, is there one more nugget or anything else you want us to hear from Amanda Ryan?
Well, I will say, with social media being such a big part of my business and with so many agents not knowing really where to start, I do have a download that I would be happy to share with all of your audience, Ben. I appreciate you bringing me on, and so I want to give back to everybody. So if you're on this call and you want to send me a DM, I would be happy to share the starter guide, really, that I use as a framework to not make social media so overwhelming and give you really a narrow focus framework to get and grow your business through social media. So if y'all want to follow me on Instagram, send me a DM. I would be more than happy to share that with you so that you can take something away from this call.
Love that. And state them again. State it again. Is it on the move DFW? What is it? Where can they go?
It's at On the Move with Amanda.
Okay. Destiny, you heard that. Okay. So make sure, right?
Before we wrap up, Ben, can I grab a picture with everybody on the call?
How do you do that? Yeah.
Ready?
Do it. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
That
I
is
love it. Thank you
sweetheart.
so much for having me. And I want to thank all of the faces on this call. If we haven't met yet, DM me. I'll send you the guide. And I would just love to help you in your business. So my DMs are always open for you.